And a jolly good, warm, sunny September morning to you from Harpenden in Hertfordshire, outside the Red Cow pub, which is located just next to the River Lee. And welcome to part 3 of my walk on the full length of the River Lee from Leagrave, where the source of the river is, down to where it spills into the River Thames in London. And if you just happened upon this video today, this is number 3 of a series. I can't tell you how many the final figure will be at this moment, but once this video is published, it will show in the title that this is 3 of however many it ends up being. If you want to watch from the very beginning, then go to my channel and look up the other 2, which will also be published now. And part 1 is from Leagrave, the source, just outside Luton, through to Luton town centre, and part 2 was from Luton town centre to where I'm stood right now, outside the Red Cow pub. And I completed that section a couple of weeks ago. I've had a bit of a break from it due to various commitments, but there she rolls. And today's possibly going to be one of the longest sectors. I'm going to be going to Hatfield. It's approximately 8 miles and finishing up at the Mill Museum there. And that is where I'll commence part 4 as soon as I possibly can. That may even be as soon as tomorrow. I do not know yet, but all these videos will be published in sequence once they're all completed. So take it from there. Let's head off now. Let's head off towards Hatfield. As I said before on this, you can't always get directly next to the actual River Lee itself. You're more walking through the Lee Valley rather than next to the river. It is possible in some places and completely impossible in others. So we'll take it, see how we get on. And it's a hot old day, so I've got a flask full of cold water and a couple of other drinks to keep me going. So let's head on and see how we get on today. Thanks for joining. Okay, so I use a number of different apps to keep me on the right track, so to speak. One of which is, of course, Google Maps. That tends to keep you on footpaths next to roads. And I use another app called Go Jauntly, which is a walking app that you may or may not have heard of. It's a great app. It's fantastic. I use it a lot just for walks. If I go to somewhere, don't really know where to walk around when I get there, and there are curated walks on there that you can follow, and the app will create a walk for you if you know where you want to go from and to, circular or from A to B. Today I've popped in A to B, and it's given me an option of the green walk and the fast walk. The green walk actually is a lot longer than 8 miles and takes you via St Albans and well away from the River Lee itself. Strangely, and perhaps slightly unusually, the fast walk is sending me more or less next to the River Lee all the way to the mill in Hatfield. So I'm going to be taking that one, obviously. And let's see how much of the River Lee we can see and walk next to between here and Hatfield itself. This is where I more or less ended the previous walk from Luton a couple of weeks ago. Came out of that footpath there across the old railway line. And I suspect I'm going to be following the old railway line to start with, at least, along this way. Old railway lines are great to walk along because, one, they're fairly flat and follow a logical path through the contours of the land. So let's see where we end up today. Just going to spend a little while edging out of the suburbs of Harpenden. I have to say, it's going to be a very warm day today, possibly up as high as 30. It's 10 o'clock in the morning at the moment, and it's certainly well into the 20s now. So I have a feeling going to be somewhere around 10 episodes for this, I think. I'm guessing that, possibly as low as 8. It does rather depend on time and logistics of getting to various start and finishing points. The nearer to my home I am, the easier it actually is. I'm fairly close to my home here, so getting to the start point and back to it again is not too much of an issue, but the further I get towards London, so I've got to factor that in. But that's all good fun and all part of the enjoyment of it all. So yeah, hopefully this will be number 3 of about 8, 9, 10, 11 or maybe 12 episodes, which will finish up by the River Thames. Not much to report on just yet, other than it's very nice walking under this tree cover. It's a lot cooler than in the direct sunshine. And for those of you that know the UK, getting on for 30 Celsius in September is really rather high. In fact, it's really rather high for any time of year, but normally weather's started to break a little bit by now and things are a little bit cooler. But this year, no, fantastic, hot, warm, sunny weather. And I've just walked through Harpenden itself, and there's a lot of cafes in Harpenden. It's a great place just to come in its own right if you just want a nice kind of picturesque English town to have a look around. It's got lots of cafes and restaurants and stuff like that. Well worthy of a little visit, and everyone was sat outside having a lovely time, so that's always good to see. I dare say the weather will break in due course. Anyway, let's head off, get these 8 miles done and see what we see along the way. And just to put things into context, the River Lee itself is to my left, on the other side of all those houses. You can't walk along right next to it at this point. It seems to be backs of gardens on both sides, and your only way of really traversing it in this area would be in a canoe, which probably be great fun. Well, it's not particularly deep just here, so I'm not sure how viable that would be. Canoeists, you may be able to tell me. Walking along here, as I say, this is Disused railway line, which goes to, I think it's Welwyn Garden City, from Luton to Welwyn Garden City via Harpenden. I'm going to go past the area of, I'm not sure if there's any remnants still there, of Harpenden East railway station, which closed many years ago. And then just after that we'll actually cross over the river itself, and it will be on my right for a while at least after that. So I'm calling this the River Lee Walk. The majority of it is going to be along the Lee Valley Walk, which just goes to show the obviously you couldn't really call it the River Lee Walk because there's not that much of the actual river itself that you can walk along directly. I think this must be the area of where Harpenden East Railway Station used to be. Somewhere just in this vicinity, I'm not entirely sure, but I seem to have to take a little skew over to the left here somewhere. I don't mind admitting not paying attention to the app. Sometimes it's not 100% clear which direction you're due to go down, and one great thing though about the Go Jaunted app in particular is that it pops you down little footpaths such as this one that you would possibly miss under normal circumstances unless you were a local and knew about it, or just wouldn't think to go down it. It directs you down, and I've said this before on other walks, it quite often sends you down footpaths that look like they might be leading into private property or somewhere where you're not really supposed to go, but in reality you are perfectly at liberty to go there, and there's just no signage really telling you that. So station roads, right, there we go. So as is the case very often with disused railway lines and places where there used to be a railway station, we come to Station Road, although there is no actual station here anymore. And in fact there's a bridge over the River Lee, I can just see there. Just got to double check precisely which direction I'm supposed to go. I think I'm crossing over here, but I would say the old Harpenden East Railway Station was very much in this location here. Right, and again through a nice nettly footpath to Bedford Springs Nature Reserve, and I can see where this river is, just down there amongst all those trees, and as you can see, it's another area where it's not viable to walk directly next to it as such. They've let this grass grow long here before they've cut it. Crikey. This isn't the actual River Lee itself. Bedford Spring, I guess. This is kind of either an irrigation channel or a little side stream away from the River Lee itself. This joins up the river. It's further along over there. So I can just hear a weir. It's a pleasant area. And this is the River Lee through all this foliage. There she rolls, and as you can see, a lot of the time it's not viable to literally walk directly next to the river, but it is a useful little map. Doesn't actually say where we are now, unless I'm I think it must be just about there. So I can hear the sluice, so yeah, and we're heading on up this way. Okay, so the river's to my right now, and we're going to return back to what I referred to as the lower Harpenden road back in Luton. Now we're in Harpenden, or just on the edges of Harpenden. It's the lower Luton road, but it's basically the same road. I'm going to be walking along this for a little while the river meanders its way through what appears to be a lot of private land over there that you can sort of walk to it. Along it's not really particularly possible. So unfortunately it's just a road for about the next half a mile or so. And I won't be cheating by getting on a bus. And we're at the point where Batford actually, I was going to say leave Harpenden, but Batford we've sort of merged into on the way, and entering the pre-Roman riverside village of Wheathampstead. I like that sound of riverside. Maybe a chance to sit down there for a few minutes and just enjoy the river rolling through. And as is quite normal along this section of the river, at least, it's just winding its happy little way through those farmers' fields over there. It's another place where you have to just take what the app's telling you with a slight pinch of salt, in as much as it looks on the app like you're supposed to cross the road here and there's going to be some sort of footpath over there, but there clearly isn't. However, if you look here, the grass has been cut short, and the intention, of course, is to walk along by the side of this road, which doesn't have a defined footpath as such, but this is clearly where it's telling you to go. Well, this is where it's supposed to be telling you to go, although oddly enough the app's kind of suggesting you should be on the other side of the road, but I certainly wouldn't be recommending walking over there with the speed of the traffic along here. But at least the council have come along and cut the grass into fashion out kind of a footpath here. Alternatively, of course, you could walk on the actual footpath over there on this road that runs parallel. Quite a few little side routes that you can take off this road. I'm not going to go off them just at the moment, but just down there, if that sign there just says Chiltern Cycleway, and then there's like a car park down there where you can presumably park up by the river. I'm just going to stick to the road just for the time being at least. Just purely to continue progress, really. To stray off walking directly by the road for a little while. It's never great walking along a busy road. Just come through these pastures here. It's quite a pleasant green spot, and I think we'll find a river. Let's go and find her. Got to check in every now and then. Strange walks where you walk in a river but you don't see much of it for a lot of the... There she is, there you go. Looking quite clean and healthy here. There was a part in Luton where, quite frankly, it was a disgrace. If you see episode 2, possibly part of episode 1 and 2 actually, the end of 1 and the beginning of 2 where you're in the centre of Luton, pretty disgusted at the level of litter that's been allowed to go in there or has been deliberately thrown in, etc, etc. But yeah, out here in the Hertfordshire countryside, a bit more decorum prevails. I guess less people too, so less chance of unpleasant activities like that going on. Still, she's looking good at the moment. This Lower Luton Road is a pretty busy old road actually. Just entering into the small town or large village of Wheathampstead now. And just on a bit of a dilemma whether to just stay on the road or take this footpath, a slightly longer route through. It's nice to actually get down by the river every now and then. But as you can see, it is not an eminently walkable river in terms of having a footpath along it. Not until we get into Lee Valley Park and the parts in London where you can walk along it, but all may do for the time being. Nice to hear that water sound though instead of just cars. Thankfully, finally routed away from this road down this side road and into the centre of Wheathampstead. I'd say this is approximately a third of the way along the walk. So when I get down to the river in the centre of the village, I'm just going to take a few minutes just to sit down there, have a little rest, have a drink, and get ready for the next 2/3. And here we are, first significant little stopping point on this particular sector, Wheathampstead. A lovely little village or town, small town. Great place, lots of pubs, places to go and get something to eat, cafes, all the usual stuff, and not just generally a nice place to walk around. And I'm just going to sit down here, have a drink, and then carry on fairly soon. And rather conveniently provided me with a seat and a bin to sit on. And if I've got any bread left over from my sandwiches, I know you're going to say I shouldn't do, but I'll give the ducks a little nibble. And there we go. Interestingly, as we're walking the entire length of this river, there's a little sign here which says Leagrave 13 miles, River Thames 29. So what's that, 29? Not almost halfway, not quite halfway. What I will remind you of though is that that's the distance that the river flows. The route that you have to take walking along it is considerably longer. That's an interesting little sign all the same, fantastic. Something quite interesting about this, just before I set off. So what's that, 29, 39, 42 miles of actual river from Leagrave to the River Thames. I think I read somewhere when you're walking it, it's nearer to 70 miles. And I totally buy that. It does seem like, I think probably the 8 miles today is probably 5 miles of actual river. But interestingly, on this little sign, on this side of it, it says Lee, L-E-A. On the other side, L-E-E. And I do know that this river does get spelt in two different ways in various sections along it, as in L-E-A or L-E-E. Can't quite just... There you go, you can just see that there. I'm wondering if this is the point where the name changes, or the spelling of the river changes. And from this point on, it's the River Lee, spelt L-E-E. I shall look out for the point further along where it reverts back to L-E-A, because it's definitely that when you're in London, but I'm not sure for how long it stays that spelling. That's a small matter, but it's quite an interesting thing there that probably back in the day it was just known as the River Lee, and just nobody really bothered about how you spelt it. And there you go. Right, anyway, onwards. 2/3 of today's walk still to go, I think. And yeah, got a bit of energy back in the old legs. Let's go. We will be at some point going along the Ayot Greenway. In fact, it looks like we're actually going along it right now. For quite how long, I'm not sure. But that, once you get back out in the countryside, will be the railway line again. Going through a beautiful part of Hertfordshire. In fact, I did a walk, a video, if you're interested in a walk in the middle of a beautiful part of Hertfordshire around Ayot St Lawrence and Ayot St Peter, and that incorporated a section of quite a small section actually of the railway, the old railway line. I'm rather hoping this walk today will take me along that. Just through that section, and I'll see a little bit more of it, because it really is beautiful walk. As I say, that's another of my videos. You'll easily find that. Right, so I've just reset the app from scratch, and yeah, it started off at 8.8 miles. And it's now saying 5.9, so I've done about 3 miles. It does actually feel a bit longer than that, but it is quite a warm and humid day. I think perhaps the reality is a little bit more than that, with 1 or 2 little diversions I've made along the way. But yeah, so another 5, just under 6 miles to go. So yeah, I think I'll probably be looking to find somewhere else to sit down and have a nice little rest in about 3 more miles. But we're going along the Ayot Greenway for a while now. It's going to be much more pleasurable than along that road, the Lower Luton Road that we were going along earlier on. The Forge, Westwood Brothers. Some great things along rivers, usually to look at, mills, so on and so forth. Is that someone paddling in the water down there? Oh yes. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, it's quite shallow here. The water runs quite fast, but it's shallow and looks very clean, so ideal for a little paddle and letting your dogs go for a little run in there. You certainly want to be wanting to do that at some of the sections I saw in Luton. What a lovely place. It's been many years since I've been to Wheathampstead. In fact, what I like about doing these sorts of walks are, I've lived in this part of the world for the majority of my life, and I've been through these places, I've been round them, been close to them. Unless you've got particular business in any of them, you very often don't actually go and actually have a look at them. And when I say go through them, round them, etc., it's usually by car. And course, same with London. You just jump on the tube to go from A to B. You don't see anything, you just see the inside of a tunnel and crammed in with lots of people on the tube. And sometimes it's just well worth adding that extra 30 minutes onto your day and walking instead of jumping on the tube. And just, it's amazing what you see, absolutely incredible. London's absolutely fantastic. And again, not wanting to sound like I'm a paid employee of Go Jauntly, I use that particular app. I'm sure, as I always say, I'm sure there are others. I use it a lot just to do an A to B walk somewhere in London, or a circular walk, and it takes you down little alleyways and things like that that you'd never have gone down otherwise, and you see some amazing things. So it's well worth doing it if you enjoy walking and you're able to factor a bit of extra time into your day. What isn't there to love about that? Exercise, seeing some stuff, and I guess if you've not made a tube journey, you've probably saved yourself a couple of pounds into the bargain. So all in all, but obviously walks like this are somewhat different. This is completely my choice to come and walk along here, and very pleased about it I am too. And it's nice to actually be down by the river a little bit more now. Seem to be dipping from the Ayot Greenway, which is predominantly the old railway line, to the Lee Valley walk, which is what I'm actually on now. They seem to intermingle really quite a bit. And while obviously the Lee Valley Walk app, the website I should say, the map and things would send me this way. The Go Jauntly app sending me the other way. But you can see both on the map, on the where you are and where they diverge and converge with each other along the route. So it's just a case of making a choice. I'm sticking to the route which goes closest to the River Lee in each case, and just for the record, it's just over there somewhere amongst those trees. I think we'll be crossing over it fairly soon, and I believe there's a ford down here, so wherever there's a ford will be the river too. So okay, let's keep going. Just glad to get away from the busy road again. We're in cross country now, heading generally in the general direction of Welwyn Garden City. Going to skirt to the south of Welwyn, and then ultimately finish up at the Green Mill, I think it's called, Green Mill Museum. Can't remember the exact title off the top of my head. Where I will end today's walk and begin the next one. This is nice now. It's getting really quite warm, getting up towards middle of the day now, and it's quite humid too. In terms of grabbing refreshments along the way, well, there wasn't much from the start up until Wheathampstead, but definitely there's plenty of options there if you wanted to kill an hour and have a drink or something. And but I'm not sure yet what there'll be between here and the end of the walk. I know there's definitely refreshments at the very end of the walk, and I think I'm going to be needing them. And I'm indeed looking forward to them already. Really feels now like I've reached the perfect countryside tranquility. Can't hear any roads. Very, very far away in the distance now. The river takes a real meandering wind through the countryside, just over there through the trees. And it's funny because it goes across a lot of private land, and there's public footpaths close to it but not next to it the whole way. And what that does though is creates a fantastic environment and habitat for wildlife, to allow them, or allow things to grow and allow animals to thrive. by the water undisturbed on the whole, apart from a few places. And can actually, I'll stop talking for a moment, hear the water flowing just down there. But you'll see how massively, well, I don't use the term overgrown, but how lush all the foliage is down there, all the different flowers and trees and weeds and everything else, which creates this great habitat. And it's probably a good thing. And just walking along here, and the relative quietness, at least, of the Hertfordshire countryside is really, really very pleasant now. Railway line, incidentally. You can always see it, but it seems to be taking keeping to that just under 100 metres above sea level line, just over there. Whereas this footpath, that's the river footpath, is taking a more of a meandering and undulating route. Every so often you just find a little gap in all the foliage where you can get down to the water's edge, such as just here. Flowing blue beautifully, clean and peacefully. Mentioned this before, that as soon as you get well away from access points to some of these paths, the further along them you get, the fewer and fewer people walk along them, as you can probably appreciate, and more likely to get overgrown. And there's a lot of nettles this year, probably because of the weather that has been this summer. That's caused them to grow a lot more than usual, but yeah, taking a bit of hit on the legs there. That path there takes you back up to the level of the old railway line. It's going to continue down more like at river level for the time being. If you make nettle wine or nettle tea, or indeed enjoy blackberries, yum yum, absolutely gorgeous, perfect. Here is a place to come foraging. So, come out onto an actual road now. There's a sign saying Lee Valley Walk, Wheathampstead 2 miles, public bridleway 18, Ayot Greenway half a mile. Yeah, so we ventured off that. This is a Water House, beautiful, beautiful building there, and bridge, Water Ford, I guess. It's now an actual bridge. I guess at one time you just drove through the water. In fact, I think when the river's running high, you still have to. You know, it's now a concrete, and then they've got a raised footway there just to the right for when the water is coming over the top. And we're going to be carrying on down the footpath there towards Brocket Hall, which I'm sure many of you have heard of. Let's just pause here for a moment and enjoy this. Looks like the ducks have been out splashing around on here. I wonder how often the water comes over the top here. It's obviously it's the end of summer. Well, there's been a reasonable amount of rain this summer. It's not been torrential. The river's starting to look quite fine now, a bit wider and a bit more of a decent river. Lemsford 1.5. Lee Valley Walk, it continues. So we're in the Ayot estate. So if you want to go fishing around here, you need a pass or a licence. Nice to be right down by the river and hear that river sound. That makes all the difference. Definitely moving away from the river now, up over this hill. Getting quite close to Brocket Hall now. In fact, we're probably in the land belonging to Brocket Hall, although it is a public right of way through here. Yeah, it's beautifully peaceful out here. Thoroughly recommend putting in the effort to get out into the middle of Hertfordshire. There's some quite big towns around the edges of Hertfordshire, but in the middle it's quite stunning. I mean, it's not the Lake District or the Peak District or the Cotswolds or anything like that, but it's if you live in this part of the country, it's very accessible, and you can certainly find a bit to yourself to walk around in. You know, not many people walk up here because there's little or no litter. So the thing I can't abide is people chucking their litter on the floor. Oh, I didn't look at it on the camera, it was quite steep. There was a golf course out here somewhere, and I was wondering when I was going to get to it, and indeed I believe I just have. There's a sign telling me what I can and can't do, and to watch out for golf balls, I guess. Okay, so yeah, it's just a polite little reminder to be respectful of where you are. Welcome to Brocket Hall Estate, and take care of crossing the golf course, of course. Keep to the footpaths, and don't be a nuisance. That seems a reasonable enough request, I would say. And yeah, and a very nice golf course it looks too. I'm going to lose my ball in the long grass here though, in the rough. Have a job digging it out of here. To be walking across the fairway in a minute, so I'm sure these guys take their shots. They look like they know what they're doing. They wouldn't take kindly to me just stomping across them when they're about to play the shot, so they've all teed off there. Right, let's get across them before the next bunch arrive on the tee. Golf course, but it's got very, very long grass. Wow. Yeah. Be fun finding your ball in the first place, actually, if it went in there. This is certainly one very nice golf course. I'm not a golfer myself, but yeah, I can appreciate this is a nice golf course. There seems to be an actual tournament on today. Beautiful lake down there, which is fed by the River Lee. A lovely setting. Great way to spend a few hours on the golf course. Immaculate greens as well. Immaculate. Ooh, that's warm out on that golf course. Back into the relative cool of the under the trees now, back into our footpath. That was nice, that was interesting. Brocket Hall and its golf course, and yeah, and a tournament going on. Looks like I've got a bit more golf course to wander across here. They do have stewards out because there's a tournament on, stopping people like me from wandering right in the middle of a game or across the fairway. So this is the Justin Rose Open Tournament Ladies Golf Tournament. So the golfer Justin Rose, who's I guess a very wealthy professional golfer, is sponsoring the ladies professional ladies tournament here today. So hats off to him. I was just chatting to a chap. That's how I just found this out, exactly who's playing and so on. And he's saying how little money there is in it for the ladies game, for these professionals, and they really live off personal sponsorship deals that they acquire rather than earning money playing games at tournaments. So they rely on tournaments such as this, sponsored by golfers such as Justin Rose, to make a living. So great, well done to him, and looks like they're all having a fabulous day. Had to wait back there for a few minutes talking to one of the stewards, so I didn't get in anyone's way. I seem to have successfully done that, so that's good. Anyway, wow, it is hot out on this golf course, considering it's September. You could have, in theory, be walking around in a jumper and a waterproof jacket and hat at this time of year, but no. Just going to be leaving the golf course now and heading down into the village of Lemsford. So again, that'll be another place to sit down for a moment if you wish. I certainly will be doing so. There's a couple of pubs there, at least two that I can think of. Nice place just to sit again by the river, a little bit like Wheathampstead, and have something to drink or something to eat and rest the legs. So looking forward to that in a few minutes. And then crack on with the final leg to the Mill Museum in Hatfield. What a great walk this been. Slightly too much in the way of walking along the road to start off with, but once we've got rid of that, been across country for the majority of the rest of it, so that's been really, really good. And here we are at Lemsford as a mill. Whether it's still used as a mill, I doubt very much. And there she is again. Being used to work. Being put to work, the river, brilliant. Come the wrong way here, but anyway, visitor entrance, front door around here. Now just Ramblers Holidays Group. Well, I've heard of Ramblers Holidays. RWH Travel Limited, Ramblers Travel Agency Limited. Well, I didn't know they were here. Learn something new every day. Well, I'm certainly on a ramble today. I wouldn't call it a holiday though. So, it's always nice to walk along the river and see a bit of countryside. It's particularly nice when you come across some ponies. A little sign back there saying don't feed them, so obviously plenty of people come down here to have a little look at them. A couple of them have got some ailments, so they don't want you feeding them, so it's good that they've put a sign up. And Here he comes, or she. Say hello. So, if you look at the general trajectory of the River Lee, it tends to come out of Luton, just to go due south, and then once it's got to Harpenden, curls off in a sort of a southeasterly direction, which is what I've been walking today. So I started off quite close to the M1 motorway, and now I'm very close, you can probably just hear that, to the A1M. So that's how far east I've come across now. And we'll get right up to it, I think, at some point. But this is one of these parts of a walk that you that's across private land, where they would rather they didn't have this public right of way through their land, so make minimum effort to make it accessible. I mean, there's electric fences there. It's all signposted up and all above board, and nothing's going to happen to anybody. But yeah, you just got one of those feelings where they'd rather this footpath didn't go right the way through their paddocks and pastures and whatever. But anyway, it's perfectly okay, so I should carry on through. Just coming back close to the River Lee again, spelling it L-E-A just here, incidentally. And Lemsford Spring, or Springs, which just to me looks like an elongated lake fed by the river, looking at it on the map. Perhaps there's some springs there as well that also feeds itself. Could be the springs feeding the river, of course. The river's just, again, just through there in private land that you can't really get to. I think I'm going to be crossing over it very shortly though. Down to the last quarter of this walk now, really. Getting quite close to Welwyn. Hatfield's not far away. And that will be the end of it for today. Still plenty to see, I guess. And I'll stop in a moment for a drink. I forgot to do it at Hampstead for some reason. It's suddenly getting very noisy again. Habitation, people. They don't half make a noise, do people? So this is the original A1, the Great North Road. Famous old road built by the Romans. The A1M, of course, is a motorway version of it, which will be considerably busier, and hopefully we're going underneath it and not across it. Yeah, definitely back in a certain level of... again, here we go, the app's sending me down this little pathway that, frankly, you wouldn't otherwise notice, I don't think, unless you lived here or an app sent you down. So, thankfully, thanks to the Cojauntly app yet again. Quite sure where it's taking me. I think I maybe should have taken that other route and gone underneath. Oh yes, no, there is some sort of a tunnel here underneath. I was going to say, can't walk across motorways. This looks, right, yes, I see. So here we go, we're down to the river. The river goes underneath the motorway. And there's a footpath for me. I'll tell you what, it's a very appealing thought about jumping in that water because it's getting really warm now. Amazing. One of the busiest motorways in the country flying above my head now. Right, I'm going to have to switch my phone off for a moment while I navigate this bit here. It's not that deep, but actually I'll keep the phone on just in case I have a mishap and end up in the water. It'll make for a good, interesting section of the video. No, we're okay. Welcome to Welwyn Garden City. Oh, right. Okay, so over here, there's the river there, and just here is Stanborough Lake. And so I'm going to take the route this way. It's a shame that there's a motorway running right next to it, because this would be beautiful and tranquil and a great place to sit down, but not really when you've got a motorway 20 metres away from you. I'm hoping by going this way around it, away from the road, it becomes a little bit more peaceful. Oh, a really nice place, apart from the deafening noise of traffic over there, which is probably why there's not really too many people here. I don't suppose these birds and the fishes in there and that mind too much, to be fair, but anyway. That was a nice noisy little break there. My last sandwich was decidedly sweaty and horrible, so I know you're not supposed to, but these ducks had an early lunch. The app's now saying I've got about 50 minutes to go to the mill, the museum mill museum. So I'm going to press on now, do that last bit, and that'll be episode 3 done. But still, let's say another 50 odd minutes to the end, so plenty to see yet, hopefully. Oh, it's really quite a nice park, really, this. It's just such a shame it's so close to that motorway. There's like a kids' adventure playground over there, and there's loads and loads and loads. I don't know why they're not at school, because maybe it's just just for the younger ones, with water features and so on over there. But there's certainly a lot of school-aged children running around over there, not just very young ones. So I don't know, maybe it's a school trip or something like that. But am. Right, so we cross over the old River Lee again. Road again. Low roof, mind your head. Right, goodbye Stanborough Lake and Park. It really is a very nice lake. this last mile or so out of the way, and I'll talk to you along the way. So finally a sign for the museum, Mill Green Museum. That's the name I've been struggling with the entire time. But that's going to be the end of the journey for this part 3, and we're almost there. Right, well here we are, we made it finally. Mill Green Museum, the water mill, Mill Green, and that's it. So thank you for watching. The museum is open. Unfortunately I don't have any time to look around it today, but what I might try and do is allow some time to have a little look around it when I come here to do the next section, which will be from here to Hertford Castle, which will be a similar length kind of walk to today. This looks like a fascinating place. Sign there saying please get back from the riverbank. That is flowing quite quickly actually. You wouldn't want it's a mill, you see, so it's been channeled through to give a higher water pressure to run the mill. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you have happened upon this video at episode 3 but you want to watch from the 1, then stop watching. Well, you should have hopefully already stopped watching and gone back to number 1. Number 4, 5, 6 and whatever it's going to get up to will be appearing on YouTube very soon, if they haven't done already. But if you click subscribe and the little bell for notifications, it will let you know when any new videos come out. So thanks for watching, enjoy all your walking, and I'll leave you with a little view of the sewage farm plough.